Hi, I'm Steve Shelburne, owner and operator of Shelburne RV here in beautiful Cleveland, Tennessee. Well, good morning. We're back. It's a bright Monday morning. A little late getting my videos going this morning. I've had two basement airs show up this morning here for repair. Lewis has already tore into one. I'll take you up here and show you that here in a minute. And we're just swamped at the moment. They're trying to get the floors back in that camper you saw from last week with the floor issues. They're trying to get the floors. The rooms are actually in. They're doing all the fascia right now. So they're working on that. So we'll go around and start looking at a few things and see what we got. So we've got in a big Meridia that's got basement air problems. Customer stating that it is popping some breakers on the compressor. He's had some compressor work done on it, but it still wasn't cooling correctly. Now, that's air bleeding through, and look at that ductwork back there, blowed apart. So obviously problems right away with that. So, Mr. Lewis, we know it's got a problem in the compressor. He's going to pull it apart. We're going to open it up, see what's going on. All right, Mr. Lewis has got the cover off of here. Now, the customer did state that somebody had put compressors in here, which they did. You can see they didn't even use the original mounts. And then, look at here, neutral wires all burned off. But they used this tap. You can see where the oil. So I've already put a gauge on here. There's no Freon in this system right here. So that's all bled out. So that's the wrong way to do that. And then let's look at this. Let's look at this soldering job that they did on this. Now the system too does have some Freon in it, but yeah, look at the soldering job on this thing. I've seen birds poop better than that. Look at that. So needless to say, we're gonna resolve all of those problems, but that compressor's bad, so we're gonna end up putting a compressor in it. Mr. Lewis and I are back on this one. We got the new compressor in. We ran it yesterday. We really were not getting the temperatures that we wanted. I noticed on my vacuum pump that when it got down to about 600 microns, it would jump back up to 11. We went ahead and pulled this one out, and I got some cleaner and we cleaned it. Now, this one here, we pulled it out, and let me show you what we found, because we went in here and started cleaning on this thing, and I went down to our friends at Johnstone and got some Pro Flush, and all that crap came out of here. Now listen, now that we've got this flushed out, whatever was in that compressor has come out of there now. Well, obviously you can see that thing, and we've cleaned it several times. Got a good clean through it, but now that noise was not happening when we first took it out, and obviously there was a lot of trash that came out of that. So now we're going to go in here, get this brazed back in. We're going to pull a good vacuum on it and see what happens. All right, so you can see Mr. Lewis has got this one all finished up. Now, you saw what we were doing on this 6537 yesterday. Obviously had trash in the system, and once we got all the trash cleaned out and we got the coils cleaned out, got it all brazed back together, got it pulled down below 500 on the gauge, so it vacuumed down real good. Feel like we got all the trash out of it. Lewis got it all back in. It ran on the test bench for a good hour. He had 21 degrees differential here on this one running in the coach this morning. So another one that's been resolved here at Shelburne RV. This one's ready to go. As you can see, they're hooked up and they're heading back to beautiful sunny Florida. The project we're going to start on here in just a couple minutes is this little small camper. It has got generator problems, and as you can see, that generator ain't coming out of here unless you drop this thing down. Now, the bad part is the exhaust pipe, and you can see that looks like a new exhaust pipe because I just got back with the muffler from the muffler place. That exhaust pipe actually was almost touching this exhaust pipe, and it was directly underneath the generator. So you couldn't get the generator out of here because the exhaust pipe was in the way. So we had to take it down to the muffler shop and get them to modify that exhaust pipe so that way we can get this generator out to do the diag on it. So one of the other projects we've been working on is this Dutchman Express. Now it's got a little 4 kW generator in it, and when the customer brought it in, he said it was acting erratic, would only start when the engine was running. So we plugged it into shore power, 13 volts at the converter, 13 volts at the battery. But when we went to start the generator, 13 volts on the solenoid, but as soon as we went to start the generator, it dropped to 4 volts. So we started looking at, obviously the cable, battery cable, made sure the grounds were good between the ground on the gen set to the actual chassis. The ground was nice and tight. We actually changed and put a nut and bolt on it instead of a self-tapping screw that it had in it. But still could not get it to operate unless either the engine was running or we put a jump box straight on the generator. As soon as we get it running with a jump box, it would run 4 or 5 minutes and then die. So the voltage was dropping out on it. So couldn't get it to work, went round and round about it. Let me show you what we found out. Okay, so obviously the battery for the coach is back here. Now we had 13 volts from the converter on the battery. So we knew the converter was charging correctly. Now one thing that we checked, and you can see where I've cleaned it off right there, that was the ground for the battery. Now what we found out was the rack that holds the battery, get out here and show it to you a little better. Look at there. This is sheet metal, but it wasn't getting a good ground through here. And so we weren't getting a good battery ground back to it. So I actually took the ground off and we went straight back to the chassis and tied it in right there. So once we resolved the ground from the battery, the generator now works. Now, one thing we did check while we had it apart, it was running about 116 volts, about 56 hertz. So Cummins doesn't really look at voltage, they look at the hertz, the hertz output. And typically they want to have between about 58 to 62, sometimes 63. But 62 is about where you want to be at, or you start getting a high frequency code. I'm surprised that one wasn't throwing a low frequency code, because typically that's awful low for that. So while we had it here, we hooked our meter to it and we got the hertz up to 60 and a half, which gives us like right at 119 with the air conditioner running. So now that we've got that all tweaked out, we ran it for an hour or so, everything's good on it, so we're gonna be sending this one out to the customer. Another project here in the shop is this Itasca Sun Cruiser. Now, Lewis is pulling the basement air out of here because when we went to run it, compressor 1 is just chattering like crazy, which usually tells us it's out of Freon. So this one here is a 2011 model air conditioner. So we're gonna pull this out and get it on the test bench and see what's going on. All right, Mr. Lewis has got this on the test bench. You can see we've got our nitrogen right here. We've already put a tap on here. It had no Freon in it. We went ahead and put some pressure on it, and I'm gonna see if we can get a good look here. If you look real carefully, right there's a crack. And it actually runs back up underneath this piece of sheet metal. So outdoor coil is going to need to be changed. Fortunately, I can still get the outdoor coils for these. So I'm going to have to just verify with the customer. So we had one not too long ago that actually had almost the same identical problem. Fortunately, that coil is the same coil that they're using on the 46515-611s. So I'm able to buy that coil. But I do have one up there that's got a brand new coil in it that we repaired from the last time. So I just got to talk to the customer, repaired versus if he just wants to put a new unit in there. It doesn't matter to me. I feel confident fixing the other one will be fine, but obviously want to give the customer that option. So more to come. All right, so you can see how that other unit had a bad outdoor coil. Now, we've already changed the outdoor coil on this one because this one had almost the identical problem that the other one had. Lewis has got the ductwork all worked out and ready to go back in, so we're gonna go ahead and put this unit in here. But one thing we always talk about in these videos is inspecting the ductwork. Now, let me show you something that we always look at. In Winnebago, you can see that foam board. Not very large foam boards, pretty small foam board. And those are really bad about blowing out. Now, if you look way up inside there, you'll see where that Y is at, way up there in the top. Now, that ductwork goes up and it Y's, and it, you know, there's two for the two vents right there, and those Y's have had issues. Now, we haven't seen, it happens very seldom, but those do have some issues where the Y's will blow out in those. And how do you get to that? Well, unfortunately, if that ever has a problem, that whole fiberglass rear end's got to come apart to get to that. So that's kind of a bad deal if that ever breaks. Now, we've only ever seen that happen once before, and that was back before I was doing a lot of YouTube videos. But that's the only way you're going to fix that. But we always look to inspect that because obviously we see a lot of air bleed coming through that. So Lewis has got the new unit sitting there. He's going to get that in and we're going to test. This is actually his third one this week. There was another one that was here. Had a bad outdoor fan motor. We didn't even show it on the video. He literally just popped it out. It was a super simple one. They just put a brand new unit in there. Had an issue with fan motor. So he pulled the unit, got the fan motor in there, and then put it back in and retested. I just had other stuff going on. Sorry. But this is number 3 for Mr. Lewis this week. Another project that came into the shop is this little Passport ultralight. It actually had a spring axle failure, and you can see it ripped everything off. Did the same thing on the other side. So we've actually called our friends down at Felton's Clutch, got some new hanger brackets, and the springs are actually messed up, so we're gonna put new springs in it, new bolts, so we'll be working on that here shortly. I also have this Tango bumper pull in here that has got some severe floor damage in the bathroom. So the boys are in here now trying to get this all pulled out. You can see how bad the water has been in here. So they're gonna have to go in there and rebuild that structure. And you've seen us do this multiple times, but they'll go in here and get this structure all put back down and fixed and repaired. So we got another basement air this week. This will be number 4 for the week, another Meridia. Now, this one has the 6537 with the Cat engine. So this is the big tall one. Not sure what's going on with it yet. Mr. Lewis is fixing to dive into that and see what's going on. So we'll be testing that here in just a second. All right, so Mr. Lewis has got the unit out. Now you can see that's the hookup for the discharge, but that right there, that is a bad deal. Let me show you why. Okay, so that is the trunk that is attached to the Y up here in the back wall. Now, you see why I'm saying this is a bad deal, because look how far up in there that thing is. Who we gonna get? I don't have nobody that can get up in there. So we've talked about these in multiple videos, and this does not happen that often, but that trunk has come undone. There's nobody, there's no way you're gonna get that in there. So now the ladder's gotta come off. This whole back fiberglass wall has got to come off there so we can get that pushed back up in there. It ain't gonna work. It's just what it is. So we're gonna finish diagging the air unit, figure out what's going on with that, and then I'm gonna call and have a nice talk with this customer. So Mr. Lewis has got this 6537 fixed and ready to go. He just had a bad fan motor and a capacitor, so he's got it cleaned out, washed out. He just got done testing it. So now I got to call and have the conversation with the customer about the rear wall, because there's no other way to fix that ductwork, because there ain't nobody small enough to get up there. Well, as you can see, we've got the axle back in this Passport. We got the new springs and shackles and all put back on this thing. So it is in there, and we're just putting the wheels back on and getting them torqued back in place. All right, well, as you can see, we had quite a bit going on this week. It's been a busy week, 4 basement airs, and you're gonna have to see us pull that cap off that other one next week. So that'll be fun. So you get to see that. Gary, was it any cooler this week from last week?
A lot cooler.
Lot cooler. So you were a little happier this week.
Yes.
We like it when Gary's happy.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and remember this video is what?
Cousin Gary.
Cousin Gary approved. Y'all take care.